The air smelled of smoke and fear. Father Joseph stood outside the charred remains of his church, the wooden cross now a pile of ash, the stained glass windows shattered like broken promises. The sacred place that had once echoed with hymns and prayers was now a ruin, a victim of hatred, a warning to those who dared to believe differently. It had started slowly. First, whispers in the streets, accusations that Christians were converting too many, that their faith was an insult to the land. Then came the threats. The anonymous letters slid under the church doors, and finally, the fire. No arrests, no outrage from the authorities, just silence. As Father Joseph bent down to pick up a charred piece of the Bible, his fingers trembled. He had spent his life preaching peace, believing in a country that spoke of unity in diversity. But diversity was burning, and unity was nothing but a word on paper. In the market, people walked past him, avoiding his eyes. Some pitied him, others feared being associated with him, and a few he knew were the very ones who had stood outside, cheering as his church burned. The next day, he went to the police station. The officer barely looked up. Another incident. "We'll look into it," he muttered. But the case file joined the dusty pile of forgotten grievances. In America, where voices rose for justice over the smallest of issues, there was no outrage for the Christians of India. The news barely covered it. The government spoke of diplomacy and strategic partnerships, not of burned churches and shattered lives. Why was the world silent? Father Joseph looked up at the sky. His faith was strong, but his heart ached. How many more churches would burn before someone decided it was enough? And yet, despite the ashes, he knew one truth. Faith cannot be burned. It would rise, just like the morning sun, waiting for justice that had not yet come.